You said that you started to teach yourself to code. How did you become a developer?
Jeez, yeah. So I mean, fresh out of school, I literally switched majors a bunch of times. I was planning on going to LA and getting into post-production. So essentially being like a cinematographer and color grader, that kind of thing was what I was more or less trained for. But I also just loved Detroit from when I was visiting and everything. Um, so basically I was a product management intern for a while, and at least at that point in life, it felt like every business meeting I was in was people kind of like asking what the devs are doing, where's this at in development. And I'd had enough dev experience from doing computational linguistics to be like, all right, I could like look in this code base and see what's going on. So it kind of just slowly happened where I kind of asked so many questions that I ended up in the code base and more or less never left after that. I just slowly became better friends with the developers than I was with the business side of things and enjoyed it a lot more. So I actually convinced another team to create a software intern position on one of the groups. And then I applied to that. So I kind of like socially engineered my way into software engineering since I didn't get a CS degree. So I used that like position as a product management intern, not even like a full-time thing. I'm talking like 30 an hour or even less, like 20 an hour kind of job out of college. And I just kind of hijacked it to turn into a software engineering position. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like the how I got into it. It was a whole ride after that, but we can talk about that later. Yeah, I was just elbowing in.
Do you have any tips for other people who might be listening who also want to engineer their own role as a software engineering intern at a company?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to say like write a check and then fill up your bank account before they cash it. Like I was definitely overselling my skills at the time, but it was only because I did trust that I was going to be putting in those hours. So they'd be like, "Oh, do you know React?" Which I didn't even know what it was at the time. And I'd be like, "Yeah, I know it." And they're like, "Okay, cool. Like you have an interview tomorrow or whatever about it." And like that night, I would just go hard on it, you know? So like don't there's way more to lose by underselling yourself than by overselling yourself. You can oversell and you just end up having a bad interview. That's whatever. If you undersell, you're going to be missing a ton of opportunities you might have had otherwise. So yeah, I'd say like oversell a little bit, but make sure that you make up the difference before it comes time. And I mean, there's so many resources for that. So yeah, just be confident in what you're doing and go for it.
And you said you studied technical linguistics.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over the place. Like, linguistics is a pretty cool subject in that like it goes everywhere from like sociolinguistics. Like I know people that literally have PhDs in the difference in pronunciation of the word like letter L in different parts of Washington, D.C. Like that's an actual area of study, like socio, all the way to people that make software language like compilers. So yeah, like computational linguistics back in 2017 was, or NLP, like natural language processing, that was much more based on like Python scripting and a lot less machine learning. But like from 2017 to GPT-3, it's completely different now. Like it's pretty crazy. I mean, everything that I learned as like an NLP major essentially is blown out of the water by what's come out in the past 2 years.